Today, I will tell you about the top 5 biggest news in the United States in today. So let's start the video. A U.S. extremely rich person has been prohibited for life from purchasing relics after an examination observed that things he claimed had been plundered and wrongfully snuck. Among the 180 things he has given over is the Stag's Head Rhyton, a drinking vessel dating from 400 BC with $3.5 million. The Larnax, a cretin chest for human remaining parts, has additionally been given up. Michael Steinhardt has given up treasures worth $70M, PS 53M, as a feature of an arrangement that implies he won't deal with criminal indictments. The restriction on the mutual funds pioneer obtaining more ancient pieces was the first of its sort, investigators said. A large number of the artifacts gave off an impression of being without improvements, they said. Mr. Steinhardt denies any criminal behavior regarding the present situation. The arrangement shut down an excellent jury examination concerning his issues. The 3,000-year-old thing was purchased from a known dealer in 2016, investigators affirm. Declaring the giving up of the relics, Manhattan District Attorney Cy Vance Jr. said Mr. Steinhardt showed a ravenous hunger for pillaged ancient rarities without worry for the lawfulness of his activities, the authenticity of the pieces he traded, or the egregious social harm he fashioned across the globe. The held-onto things had been snuck out of 11 unique nations before winding up on the worldwide workmanship market, the lead prosecutor's office found. Mr. Steinhardt's attorneys said he was satisfied the examination had finished and that things unjustly taken by others will be gotten back to their local nations. They added that the financial backer may look for remuneration from vendors who had misdirected him regarding the provenance of the things he purchased. China has denounced and arranged U.S. strategic blacklist of the 2022 Winter Olympics in Beijing and took steps to fight back. Unfamiliar Service Representative Zhao Lijian said China would take fearless countermeasures, yet didn't give further subtleties. On Monday, the U.S. said it would not send representatives to Beijing over worries about China's common freedoms record. It added that U.S. competitors could go and would have full government support. At a media instruction on Tuesday, Mr. Zhao blamed the U.S. for disregarding political impartiality in sport and said the proposed blacklist depended on untruths and bits of hearsay. Pressures are intense between the two nations. The U.S. has blamed China for the massacre in its suppression of the overwhelmingly Muslim Uyghur minority in the western locale of Xinjiang, a charge China has unequivocally denied. U.S. President Joe Biden is holding uncommon discussions by video interface with his Russian partner Vladimir Putin, amid strains on Ukraine's eastern boondocks. Few anticipate a forward leap, however. Moscow says talks are required as strains in Europe are off the scale. Russia has moved a great many soldiers to the line, however demands it does not expect to assault it needs to ensure Ukraine won't join NATO, yet Western powers say Kyiv's sway ought to be regarded. The discussions started at 10:07 U.S. Eastern Time, 15:07 GMT, 18:07 Moscow time, the White House said. They are being hung on a safe video interface set up under past organizations, however never utilized, Russian news office TASS said. Video film of the initial minutes showed cordial good tidings between the U.S. and Russian pioneers. Kremlin Representative Dmitry Peskov said the discussions would keep going as long as vital, and there was no decent time limit. Mr. Putin is holding the discussions from his home in the southern hotel of Sochi, as indicated by TASS. Mr. Biden and Putin last met face-to-face in Switzerland in June, yet gained little headway other than to consent to send their diplomats back and start an exchange on atomic arms control. In a phone call on Monday night, the White House said the heads of the U.S., UK, France, Germany, and Italy had shaped a joint methodology to force critical and extreme mischief on the Russian economy should Russia dispatch an attack. Investigation: is Russia planning to attack Ukraine? Potential measures: remember limitations for Russia's banks changing over rubles into unfamiliar monetary standards, or in any event, separating Russia from the SWIFT worldwide monetary installment framework, reports say. Russia needs to ensure that Ukraine won't attempt to hold on to regions caught by Russian-moved separatists in 2014, and has cautioned the West not to cross red lines by adding Ukraine to NATO's tactical partnership. More than 90,000 Russian soldiers are accepted to be massed close to Ukraine's boundaries. U.S. entertainer Jussie Smollett has denied he arranged a bigot, homophobic assault against himself affirming in court that there was no trick. Mr. Smallett, 39, said he was set upon by two attackers yelling slurs in Focal, Chicago on 29 January 2019. He remained by his case to police that the aggressors had shouted out a Trump trademark and tied a noose around his neck. Mr. Smallett faces 6 lawful offenses, scattered direct charges, for supposedly lying about the assault. Investigators have contended the entertainer arranged the occurrence with an end goal to help his profession. Standing up in his protection on Monday, Mr. Smallett dismissed prior declaration from 2 Nigerian-conceived siblings, Abimbola and Olabinjo Osindero, who said last week that the entertainer had arranged the assault himself and paid them $3,500 PS $2,600 to do it. Mr. Smallett said the check was for a feast and exercise plan while he would have been voyaging. Asked by his protection legal counselor assuming he gave Abimbola Osindero installment for the supposed plan, Mr. Smallett answered, "Never." There was no deception, the entertainer told members of the jury in the Chicago court. Mr. Smallett said he was getting back in the wake of purchasing a sandwich from Subway in the early hours on perhaps the coldest evening of the year when something out of Looney Tune experiences happened to him, reports the Chicago Tribune. He said one of the aggressors was monstrous and wearing a ski veil. He told the jury he accepted the man was white since he utilized a racial slur and yelled it was MAGA country, an obvious reference to then-President Donald Trump's mission motto, "Make America Great Again." The Osindero siblings affirmed last week that Mr. Smallett had taught them to yell something about MAGA country, as they messed him up during the supposedly created attack. Mr. Smallett told the jury on Monday that after the implied assault, it was just when he got back to his high-rise that I understood that the rope was around my neck. He said he didn't call the police because as a person of color in America, I don't confide in the police, I'm heartbroken. Mr. Smallett told the court he was furious when his director called the police. Specialists have said Mr. Smallett needed to help his profile since he was disappointed with his compensation on Empire, a TV show about a hip bounce line. By the 5th period of the show, Mr. Smallett said he was being paid $100,000 per scene. He was in the long run worked out of the show amid the dropout from the supposed disdain wrongdoing trip. Mr. Smallett told the court on Monday he had lost his occupation since the discussion. Whenever indicted, he faces a jail sentence of as long as 3 years. Given his absence of past feelings, in any case, legitimate specialists have said a lighter sentence or probation would be almost certain. Unfamiliar travel is feasible for individuals in the UK by and by. In any case, numerous nations are once again introducing limitations in light of the new Omicron variation. There are guidelines concerning who can enter most nations, limitations on what you can do when you arrive, and rules to adhere to when you get back. These are regularly evolving rapidly, so it's imperative to continue to actually take a look at the Foreign Office direction and traveler data for your objective before you go. Here are a portion of the critical things to be aware of venturing out to some famous objections. Popular destinations: jump to a country, Spain, France, Italy, USA, Ireland, Greece, Germany.